Look around you. Have you ever noticed those who leave their conscience at the harbour as they climb the ladder of success? Those who use anyone, even those closest to them, as stepping stones to reach the absolute top. Perhaps a ruthless executive in your professional life, or a cold-blooded politician on your screen. The world is a playground for those who put success before morality. And this game has only one unwritten rule. The road to the summit is always paved with the bones of the sacrificed.
We prefer to watch the world as a theatre of justice. We choose to believe in those fairy tales where the good always win and the wicked are punished. Yet when you tear away the dusty curtains of history, what you find is not kindness, but a raw and merciless will. To a mind locked onto its target, morality is nothing but a shackle invented by the weak to comfort themselves.
500 years ago, in the damp, dark dungeons of Florence, a man was putting this raw human truth onto paper. Niccolò Machiavelli. He was the man who saw the world not as it should be, but exactly as it was. Machiavelli whispered that infamous sentence, which is both cursed by the masses and secretly kept on the bedside of every leader. The end justifies the means. If the temple you build is grand enough, the blood poured into its foundation does not matter.
Now, let me take you to a figure widely beloved. The man who tamed lightning, invented bifocals, and smiles at us with warm, wise eyes from the $100 bill. Benjamin Franklin, a founding father of America, a symbol of virtue and liberty. But behind that charming old man's mask hid the perfect prince described in the dungeons of Florence. And this prince's greatest victim was his own flesh and blood, his only son.
The year is 1752. The sky over Philadelphia is torn apart by lightning. Two silhouettes stand under the pouring rain. One is Benjamin Franklin, and the other is his only son, 21-year-old William. Together, they are flying a kite into the dark clouds. The moment they captured electricity with a key tied to that kite's string was not just a breakthrough for science, but the absolute peak of an unbreakable bond between a father and his son. William was his father's shadow, his most loyal companion, and his right hand.
Years passed. Time turned that warm, rainy afternoon into a freezing civil war. When the American Revolution erupted, Benjamin Franklin became the paramount leader of a newborn nation. But destiny had prepared a cruel game for them. His own son, William, remained loyal to the British Crown as the royal governor of New Jersey. The father was a revolutionary, the son a loyalist. Two opposing poles, sharing a single last name.
Machiavelli once wrote, "A prince must be prepared, if necessary, to act against faith, against charity, against humanity, to maintain his state." For Benjamin Franklin, the moment of decision had arrived. Before him stood not just the British Army, but his own son, the man he raised, the man he helped elevate. The revolution was a cause far greater than personal affection, and for that grand design, family ties were merely expendable collateral.
In the cold June of 1776, American militia surrounded William Franklin's governor's mansion. William believed his father would offer an escape route, that he would pull him out of this nightmare. After all, he was the son of Benjamin Franklin. But in his father's mind, the cold Machiavellian calculus was already complete. A founding father, a
patriot, could not stain his cause by favouring his own son. Benjamin remained silent. He watched his son get arrested, handcuffed, and dragged away.
William was transferred to Litchfield Gaol in Connecticut. This was no ordinary prison. It was a damp, subterranean dungeon reserved for those condemned to die. No windows, no light, only a piece of dry bread and 8 months of endless dampness. William's bright hair fell out, his teeth rotted, and his health withered away. But in that darkness, a single hope kept him alive: the day his father would rescue him.
William's condition grew so dire that his wife, Elizabeth Downes, fell terminally ill from grief. Even George Washington, the commander-in-chief of the American forces, could no longer bear to witness this tragedy. Washington wrote directly to Congress, pleading for William to be released temporarily to see his dying wife one last time. In the middle of war, Washington was showing human mercy to his enemy.
But this request required the approval of one man, the head of the American delegation, Benjamin Franklin himself. Everyone expected the great-hearted scientist, the wise father, to say yes, but Benjamin read the letter with eyes as cold as ice, tossed it to the corner of his desk, and denied the request. While William languished in the filth of his cell, his wife Elizabeth died of grief, never seeing her husband again. Benjamin Franklin had signed his own daughter-in-law's death warrant and the spiritual execution of his own son.
Had Machiavelli witnessed this scene, he would have smiled and written, "Men sooner forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony," or in this case, their cause. Benjamin Franklin did exactly this. By sacrificing his son William, he proved to the world and to the American people his absolute devotion to the Republic. A leader who would not spare his own son became a demigod in the eyes of his people.
When William was finally released in a prisoner exchange in 1778, the man who emerged from that dungeon was no longer the cheerful boy who flew kites. Toothless, bald, widowed, and broken, he was a living ghost. He was exiled to England. His father had won the war, built a nation, and written his name in gold. But for William, that victory was his father's ultimate insult.
Years later, in 1784, William wrote one last letter to his father. Despite everything, with a shattered heart, he wanted peace. "Father," he wrote, "let us leave the past behind." Benjamin Franklin's reply was like a freezing winter wind. He rejected him. And when he died, Franklin left his only son almost nothing in his will, except some worthless, barren land in Canada, adding, "If the British had won, I would have had nothing to leave you anyway." Even on his deathbed, Franklin did not forgive.
Now, look at that warm portrait of Benjamin Franklin again. Did the man who saved humanity from lightning feel no pain as he left his own son in the dark? Of course he did. But he had accepted the brutal price of power and ultimate success. Machiavelli's truth shines brightly in the heart of this tragedy. The end justifies the means, because history only writes the names of the victors, never mourning the victims left in their wake.
But what about you? Will you just watch this story as a distant historical drama and move on? Or do you have the courage to look at the face in the mirror? Have you ever sabotaged a friend behind their back for that promotion you desperately wanted? Have you ever disregarded the feelings and trust of those who love you to achieve your own grand design?
We all like to see ourselves as the victim in this story, as William in his dark cell. We say, I was wronged, I was betrayed. But let us be honest. In those small moments when we held power, how many times did we turn into a mini Benjamin Franklin? How many times did we act like a pocket-sized Machiavelli? Whom did we condemn to those silent dungeons for our own ambitions?
Remember, when you justify every means to reach a goal and finally climb to the summit, what awaits you there is not a glorious view, but a freezing loneliness that chills you to the bone. Benjamin Franklin founded America and carved his name into eternity, but he ended his life without a single true friend, without his son, completely alone. He won, but at what cost?
If every step of the ladder to the top is built on the broken hearts of the people whose hands you once held, is that summit truly worth conquering? Or when you finally get there, will the only thing left in your hands be the cold ashes of your lost humanity?
Now, I ask you, and please do not just brush this off, think deeply about it. Is there a goal, a success, or a purpose in your life so grand that you would be willing to leave your own brother, your closest friend, or even your child in a dark dungeon just to reach it? Where does your ultimate boundary begin? Write your answers below. Let's meet in the comments with those who are not afraid to face the mirror.